Tonight on NewsWatch, the latest battles to save the lives of unborn babies, what the wins and losses mean for the pro-life movement. Plus a look at relief efforts in some of the most remote parts of the Philippines. And the nation of Israel finds what some might consider an unlikely ally in its stand against Iran. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. And good evening, I'm Heather Sells. A win and a loss on the pro-life front. Voters in Albuquerque, New Mexico defeated a ban on late-term abortions. While in Texas, a tough new abortion law now stands after the U.S. Supreme Court refused to intervene. Charlene Israel has our top story.
In Texas, a victory for the pro-life movement. A third of the state's abortion clinics will remain closed after the U.S. Supreme Court decided not to intervene. Back in July, the Texas legislature passed a law requiring doctors who perform abortions in clinics to have admitting privileges at a nearby hospital.
1 out of 3 women in Texas will now be unable to access safe abortion services.
But supporters say making clinics meet higher regulatory standards protects patients.
At the end of the day, House Bill 2 makes sure that anyone performing abortions in the state of Texas is doing so in a facility that meets appropriate safety guidelines. That is reasonable. That is common sense.
Meanwhile, in Albuquerque, voters rejected a ballot measure that would have banned abortions after 20 weeks.
It's really important for women to have control over their own bodies.
But supporters of banning late-term abortion say the fight is far from over.
While we are disappointed, we will come back stronger. We will keep moving forward. We will never back down. We will never give up.
Across the country, pro-lifers are targeting late-term abortions and citing the horrific practices that go along with them. Former workers at one Houston abortion clinic described babies being born alive daily and killed at the hand of an abortionist.
When he did an abortion, especially a over 20-week abortion, most of the time the fetus would come completely out before he either cut the spinal cord or he introduced one of the instruments into the soft spot of the fetus in order to kill the fetus. But I wasn't aware, I thought, well, it's an abortion, that's what he does. But I wasn't aware that it was illegal. And of course the fetus would still be alive because it was still moving, and you could see the stomach breathing. When
you saw this happen?
Oh yes. I think every morning I saw on several occasions.
Charlene Israel, CBN News.
Following the Texas decision, the pro-life group Life Dynamics is warning doctors and hospitals that abortion clinics may try to recruit them or try to associate with them in some way in order to comply with the law, but may not mention they provide abortion services. Arguments were heard today in the latest fraud case against Planned Parenthood, this one involving an Iowa affiliate. It was filed by Sue Thayer, who managed Planned Parenthood's Storm Lake Clinic for 17 years before she became pro-life. Thayer says the office submitted repeated false, fraudulent, and ineligible claims for reimbursements. She's represented by attorneys with the Alliance Defending Freedom. They don't expect a ruling for several months. This is a case that began to unfold when Planned Parenthood made plans to begin webcam abortions at its Iowa facilities. Thayer says the webcam abortions are a big moneymaker.
We're, instructed to say that we can take care of that problem today, 45 minutes in and out. My boss said, if you are breathing, you can do it. It helps if you've run a joystick because it's a lot like playing a video game.
Thayer was forced to resign her position as a clinic manager when she changed her mind on abortion. And joining us to discuss these pro-life headlines is Kristen Hawkins with Students for Life. Kristen, thanks for joining us. A lot to talk about here today. But let's start in Texas. What do you think is going to happen there next?
Well, what's going on, the Supreme Court said they're not ready to take up this case right now. They're going to leave it to the lower court there. So they're going to have hearings starting this January. But in the meantime, over a third of Texas abortion facilities have to close down because their doctors don't have admitting privileges within hospitals within 30 miles from their facility.
So it sounds like the number of abortions in Texas really may go down for at least this point in time.
That's right, and women are going to be protected. These are very basic provisions in the law that stated that if you're not a physician in good standing with a local hospital, you can't do abortions, and that should be across the board for any physician performing any procedure.
All right, moving just a little bit to the west in Albuquerque, do you think the municipal abortion vote there that was defeated yesterday, will that hinder other local pro-life efforts? I know this is kind of a new strategy in the pro-life movement.
No, actually, I think it's going to serve to inspire pro-lifers across the country, because this was the first time a citywide ban had ever been voted on. And so this has given the idea to hundreds of grassroots activists who are sick and tired of waiting on Washington, D.C. or waiting on their state houses to do something about abortion. So people are already getting ready in other cities across the United States to figure out how can we do what they did in Albuquerque.
Do you think, though, that it could inspire the abortion crowd as well? I mean, is this really a good strategy to go to the local level?
I think this is a great strategy because you know what? I've been to Albuquerque several times this year, and people just pass by this late-term abortion facility, this late-term abortion capital of the world, and nobody in Albuquerque knew this was happening. Those in the churches had no idea that they were the late-term abortion capital of the world. Now, everyone in Albuquerque knows what's going on, and I don't expect that abortion facility to stay there much longer now.
Okay, and Kristen, today Planned Parenthood is back in federal court on fraud charges. How big of a problem do you think this is?
Well, this is a trend that Planned Parenthood is having to face. Just this August, they were convicted of frauding the state of Texas out of over $4 million in taxpayer funds. And so now this lawsuit today from Sue Thayer in Iowa, another whistleblower, is alleging $28 million in fraud. And they still have the case in California from a former employee charging over $180 million in fraud. This is something that the Government Accountability Office here in Washington is taking a look at. And it may impact their future federal funding of Planned Parenthood if they're convicted in these cases.
All right, a lot of different pieces, a lot of interesting developments. Kristen Hawkins, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me on.
Billy Graham has been hospitalized for the second time in 1 month. He is battling respiratory congestion. A spokesperson for the Graham family told a local news source he is expected to return home in a day or two. Reverend Graham has been hospitalized several times in the past few years. He recently celebrated his 95th birthday in Asheville, North Carolina. Well, President Obama says he is going to have to rebrand Obamacare to sell it to a skeptical public. But one expert says the worst effects of the law have yet to even hit Americans. Dale Hurd has the story.
Betsy McCoy, a lawyer and health policy expert who's pored over every detail of the 2,700-page health care law, says for starters, Obamacare is unconstitutional.
First of all, they jammed it through the Senate on Christmas Eve in violation of the Constitution, which says all bills that raise revenue should originate in the House. They took a House bill that had nothing to do with health care, and they stripped every word out of it and then filled it with the Affordable Care Act and passed it. It was a sham. It was unconstitutional from the beginning.
And McCoy says thanks to Obamacare, everyone in America will eventually go from receiving world-class medical care to getting Medicaid-level care.
If you sign up for one of these exchange plans, chances are you are not going to be able to use the doctors and hospitals you currently prefer, because these exchange plans pay much less than current commercial insurance plans pay doctors and hospitals. It's Medicaid-level care. And so if you're in California, you can't go to Cedars-Sinai under most of these plans or to the University of California hospitals.
McCoy says it's going to get even worse as more and more Americans lose health care when employers decide it's just too expensive. And she fears some people will die because of Obamacare.
And what's unbelievable is that Congress was warned before they ever passed this law that fewer people would get on-the-job coverage after the law passed than if it didn't pass. Imagine that. The Congressional Budget Office said it would decrease the number of people with employer-provided health coverage, and they passed it anyway.
But now even Democrats are beginning to run from the very health care monster they rammed through Congress on a party-line vote, and many may help Republicans repeal it. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Paid professional hackers and cybersecurity experts have one suggestion for the Obamacare website: shut it down, at least until major security risks are addressed. The panel told members of Congress that the website is susceptible to hackers and criminals. Making matters worse, those would-be criminals could gain access to Americans' sensitive private information like Social Security numbers, birthdays, and income. One expert warned hackers could even access, enable, and monitor a computer's webcam and microphone and steal passwords. Democrats say healthcare.gov isn't the only website with vulnerabilities, but Texas Republican Lamar Smith says given the massive amount of personal data collected by the website, it's time to take Obamacare off of life support. Well, almost 2 weeks after a deadly typhoon slammed into the Philippines, remote villages devastated by the storm are getting aid for the first time. George Thomas has the story from the Philippines.
CBN disaster relief teams literally spent the day chopping their way into the interior villages.
The government is trying to reach these communities, but they are overwhelmed by the scale of disaster.
So at dawn this morning, Francisco Soki and his team of volunteers set out to bring emergency supplies to villagers in Lourdes, a 2-hour drive from Tacloban. But they had a few challenges getting there.
As you can see, it is not easy traveling to these far-flung areas. The roads are bad, there's fallen trees and toppled power lines.
Finally, the truck gets through.
And people are walking right behind. This is desperation. We just finished cutting a huge log out of a major thoroughfare, trying to get into this deep interior parts of the village, and we are truly bringing the first relief supplies into the community. It is the ongoing challenge, the ongoing efforts to slowly bring these devastated areas back to life.
And within minutes of arriving at the distribution site, they come from all corners of the village. Men, women, children, the young and old, grateful to see help finally arrive.
Every time people see outsiders coming into the village, it gives them hope. Any assistance is a big help for them.
Before handing out the aid, Francisco takes a moment to speak a blessing over the village.
I tell them that nothing is impossible with God. Whatever the circumstances, God will be always there for you.
Then the distribution begins, with each person getting rice, noodles, baby formula, tuna, bread, and water.
This is the first time anybody has come to our village with aid.
In one corner of the courtyard is a sign that reads, "Help, hunger strikes." Another reads, "We need food." Today, those prayers have been answered.
We are so happy that you came to our village today to bring us these goods. It will go a long way to helping us recover.
Around this village, the picture is still one of utter devastation. Mile after mile along the inland roads, every home bears the scars of Typhoon Haiyan's ferocious winds. But for some 300 families who were helped in Lourdes, today was one small step for their community and a country facing the daunting task of rebuilding homes and shattered lives. George Thomas, CBN News, Lourdes, Philippines.
Coming up, what taking it easy on Iran's nuclear ambitions could mean to the world.
In 2008, my husband Gary departed for heaven. I was still grieving. And then to find out I had cancer, I began praying, God, how do I do this? Where do I do this? Cancer Treatment Centers of America was the place. Dr. Neelam outlined a plan that would take care of my mind and my body, and she prayed with me.
For Bible-believing Christians, we're able to pray with them in a much deeper way as they begin to really rely upon their faith.
At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we believe in the power of faith and prayer as indispensable allies in the fight against complex and advanced stage cancer.
I'm back in Telluride on the mountain skiing. I feel strong and healthy.
Advanced medicine and technology.
And I am a survivor.
The warm embrace of the Spirit and the power of prayer.
These are happy tears.
Please go to cancercenter.com/faith. Appointments available now. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits.
What would you do in a medical emergency?
This is Life Alert. Are you okay?
Help! I've fallen and I can't get up.
I'm calling for help right now.
Fire emergency.
Sharon, we received a smoke signal coming from your kitchen. Get out now. We're calling the fire department.
Home intrusion. Emergencies away from home.
I think someone may be following me.
I'm right here and we'll stay on the line with you and we can contact the police if necessary.
If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Life Alert saves a life from a catastrophe every 11 minutes.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-524-5236. That's 1-800-524-5236. Call now at 1-800-524-5236 to get a free brochure. 1-800-524-5236. 1-800-524-5236.
World powers resume negotiations with Iran over its nuclear program today. Israelis are concerned an agreement could allow Iran to make a nuclear bomb. But as Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem, Israel may have a new ally in its stand.
Israel got a boost this week during a 3-day visit by French President François Hollande. France stopped the last round of talks in Geneva when it refused Iran's terms. In a speech to Israel's parliament, Hollande said he would hold the line on sanctions.
It is now for Iran to respond, not just with words, but with concrete measures that are verifiable. And I affirm here that sanctions will be maintained until Iran has definitely removed its nuclear weapons program.
Hollande's speech was good news for Israeli leaders who feel an interim agreement would let Iran off the sanctions hook.
This is one of our concerns, that since this interim agreement is so good for Iran and so convenient for the Iranians, they are giving entirely nothing and getting a lot of reductions on the sanctions and legitimation as a threshold nuclear country.
This is the most frightening nightmare of all that we're dealing with in foreign policy.
U.S. Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann was in Israel this month and told CBN News it's the wrong time to go easy on Iran.
Just when economic sanctions are really working, we've got Iran exactly where they're about to have their back broken. They're down on their knees. And just when they're down on their knees, the Obama administration wants to pull all the pressure back. And they want to give Iran the space they need, in addition to the luxury of time, to finish their project of developing a nuclear weapon.
Bachmann believes Iran's nuclear program and its supreme leader, Khamenei, threaten both Israel and the West.
Khamenei will not only use a nuclear weapon against Israel, they will use it against any other Western civilization. They will use it against Europe. They will use a nuclear weapon against the United States of America. Don't think for a moment that they won't. They will. They seek the elimination of the United States just as surely as they seek the elimination of the Jewish state of Israel.
But Israel is not the only concerned country in the region. The Gulf states just across the Persian Gulf, and especially Saudi Arabia, see Iran as Israel does.
I think the evidence is undeniable that the Israeli and Saudi positions vis-a-vis Iran and the need to prevent a nuclear Iran and the deep concerns regarding the current direction of events in Geneva and in the negotiations, the evidence of that is unmistakable. Israel and Saudi Arabia are on the same page vis-a-vis Iran.
In the meantime, Israel is campaigning against any agreement that would allow Iran to get a nuclear bomb. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will be in Moscow this week to lobby Russian President Vladimir Putin. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Up next, a big move by a prominent Christian university hoping to break new ground in online education.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
One of the latest developments in online education right now centers around a new type of teaching. It's known as MOOCs, or Massive Open Online Courses. More than 6 million students are currently enrolled in MOOCs. Harvard and MIT were the first universities to introduce these classes. They're attractive because they offer top-rate education to an unlimited number of students, and they're usually free. Now, Regent University is offering a line of MOOCs known as Lux Vera, which means light and truth. The Christian online classes will feature lectures and teaching material provided by Regent, as well as CBN and the American Center for Law and Justice. And joining us now with more is Dr. Gerson Moreno-Riano. Thanks a lot for joining us.
You're welcome, Heather. Thank you.
So tell us why is Regent doing this?
It's simple. Lux Vera means light and truth. And for us, we have the opportunity now to teach the world. And we're building on all that we have been doing as a university in the online space. We're a leader in that space. But now we want to expand and enhance our brand throughout the world. We have the opportunity to do this with a MOOC platform, a proprietary MOOC platform. We're the first Christian university to do a proprietary MOOC platform. And that gives us a great advantage. And again, it's about the mission, light and truth and wisdom to every person in the world.
So there'll be a lot of Christian content in this MOOC that you wouldn't find if you went to another MOOC.
Exactly. Mission-centric. It's going to be a Christian MOOC, Christian content, but frankly, we can offer language acquisition if we want to. We can offer lots of different kinds of content in business, economics, information technology, the humanities, Christian ministry. So it's really an educational platform for everyone throughout the world to acquire great content, open, free to others. And for those who want to have a credit-bearing kind of degree in the future, we're going to offer that as well.
Okay. Is there a particular student you're aiming for or who you think can really benefit from this?
Well, it's open to everyone. So one of the key pieces here are individuals who maybe can't come to our campus, maybe in other parts of the world or other parts of the United States who can't come here, but who want a high-level, exceptional education. This is for them. And it's going to be very engaging. One of the questions for MOOCs nowadays is they're not very engaging. They're very boring at times, a lot of information. But here we wanted to make it engaging, interactive, rich, and transformative. And that's one of the visions that drives Lux Vera. We want a transformational experience for the student, not just information, but ultimately truth and beauty and light and goodness and wisdom. So that's the goal, that's the target.
Right. And where do you see this trend going? A lot of people are jumping in right now. How's it all going to settle out, do you think?
Well, one of the key issues is that the economy can't support the current higher ed market the way that it's going and the indebtedness. So for many, MOOCs are a way out of this. Efficiency, it's free, maybe more enrollment, more numbers. It's really going to be those institutions that have a great vision, a clear plan, and a great brand that can do this. And Regent University is a leader in the Christian higher education space. And our vision is about transformation and Christian leadership to change the world. And we think Lux Vera will be a great new platform to add to all that we're doing now to continue to expand this. So for many universities, it's going to be about enrollment and numbers. For us, it's about vision and mission and reach.
And some unique content.
Indeed.
All right. Dr. Moreno-Riano, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Up next, Oprah Winfrey, Loretta Lynn, and former President Bill Clinton. We'll tell you what these three have in common.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Yeah! Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes and Google Play now.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need, just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
So what do Loretta Lynn, Oprah Winfrey, and Bill Clinton have in common? Well, today they joined 13 others in receiving the Presidential Medal of Freedom at the White House. It's the highest civilian honor in the land, presented to people who've made meritorious contributions to the United States.
Loretta Lynn was 19 the first time she won big at the local fair. Her canned vegetables brought home 17 blue ribbons and made her Canner of the Year. Where is that? Now that's impressive.
Well, she's come a long way since then, of course. The medal was established 50 years ago by President Kennedy. And since then, 500 people have received it. To learn more about this year's winners, log on to CBNNews.com, and then you can click on the Beltway Buzz blog. And that's all for this edition of NewsWatch. Remember, you can email us your comments and questions at newswatch@cbn.com. We hope that you'll join us next time. Have a great night.